Hey yo, what is up everybody? It's B Militant. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host here on the Redskins review. You guys, we just got done watching the first regular season game, Redskins versus the Eagles. Now, I really just don't know what to say. Um, this is kind of the outcome that everybody thought was going to happen. This was the outcome that, nobody gave us a chance and everything like that. And although we did fight, although we did maybe gain a little bit of respect from some Eagles fans and stuff. It doesn't matter. The result, the score is exactly what people probably thought. Hey, maybe we scored more points than people would have given us, but the end result's the same. So it's just not what we wanted. It's depressing. It's just another like watching the team battle and then not I wouldn't say they gave up, but I would say coaching was poor. We never make the right adjustments at halftime. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about, and I could come up here and I could sit here and I could be super happy and I could be like, hey, at least Cole Holcomb looks really good. Terry McLaurin, all of our rookie wide receivers, they were out here. Case Keenum didn't stink up the joint that bad. You know what I mean? I could come up here and sit here and blow smoke up your ass about what the future is, and hey, maybe we have some guys who are gonna be here and help us win in the future. But I mean, come on, man, we lost. Like, doesn't matter. The result is the result. We lost, and I would say straight up, the turning point in this football game was Jonathan Allen leaving the football game. We were absolutely dominant in this game up until Jonathan Allen got hurt with the knee injury and left. And that's the story. That's a story of our entire season last year. We were dominant. We played really well until injuries happened. In this football game, we got to see how important Jonathan Allen is. When he left, that was it. They started running the ball. They had that one drive where they ran the ball really well, and then that was it. We pretty much let Deshaun Jackson beat us. Yet again, comes down to coaching. Comes down to people like Josh Norman. How do you let Deshaun Jackson beat you in front of you? How are you going to let Deshaun Jackson get behind you? Makes no sense. As much as I would like to put shit on Josh Norman or our safeties and stuff like that, it's coaching. It's coaching. Our guys have to be in the right position. They have to know what to do. It comes down to coaching. We played really well in the first half. We were up 17-0, 20-3 at halftime. And it's just a weird game. It was a weird game. We came out and we were on a roll, and they couldn't really get anything going. Our defensive line looked like everyone. One of the reasons that no one was really giving us a shot and stuff like that is because the Eagles are supposed to have a really good defensive line. But I hold a lot of stock in our defensive line. And the first half of the game, like I said, until Jonathan Allen went out, which defensive line looked like, it was the one that should have been talked about. But hey, before I go any further, credit to the Eagles. They were resilient. They came back and fought. Shout out to Philly 500. I was in Philly 500's chat. He's an Eagles YouTuber, cool guy. And when Vernon Davis had that awesome touchdown catch, I just went in there and said something like, he's the ageist one or something like that, and said something to him. And I sat there and watched Philly 500, an Eagles fan, watch his team be down 17-0 right before halftime. And this man said, I'm not worried. We're still going to win this football game. How nice would it be to have that much faith in your football team? I mean, it's just depressing. It is. It's just like to sit here and watch other people just be like, I'm not worried. We're still going to win. We're going to be able to come back from this. We can't do that. We just can't do that. We had a 17-point lead. And just, I mean, I have to touch on it. Darius Geis played, and this man had 10 carries for 18 yards. Okay? Um, I made the video earlier. I'm not even going to touch on it anymore. My feeling still stands about Jay Gruden and the decision to not play Adrian Peterson, who had a 90-yard touchdown run, the longest of his career at the Eagles last year. We didn't play him. I mean, like I said, I don't care what the reasoning is. And like they said on the thing, out of his 13-year career or whatever, this was the first time he's ever been benched when he was healthy in his entire career. We didn't run the football, but more importantly, whether it was with Darius Geis or not, we didn't run the football. We just didn't run the football. That's something that we always get on Jay Gruden. I will give there wasn't a ton of time. Like, I thought in the second half when we were up and we were doing well, I thought, hey, that's when we're gonna come out and run the football. We didn't really have a chance because, like I said, when Jonathan Allen came out of the football game, the Eagles they weren't dumb. They started running the ball right up the middle, and we just didn't really have an answer for it. They had that long 80-yard drive. It was capped off by a throw, but most of it was just running. You could tell right there that was a momentum shift when Jonathan Allen left the football game, and they couldn't do anything. They couldn't run. They couldn't do anything up until that point. Then when Jonathan Allen left, they ran the ball, had that long 80-yard touchdown drive, mostly just from running, wearing our defense out. Our defense got straight up worn out. Just because they're on the field the whole time. And that's why I'm saying it was such a weird game. At the beginning, is we had all the time of possession. We were the ones controlling everything. And then, they didn't really get anything going. And then in the second half, and this is why it comes down to coaching. I mean, what else can you say besides we were outcoached? We had the lead 20-3. We come out in the second half. I mean, Greg Minuski's really getting on my nerves already, dude. Like I said in the preseason, he's already getting on my nerves. He's getting on my nerves now, man. I mean, like I said, this comes down to coaching. I don't care if you told, people to be in the right positions. It's your job as a coach to make sure they're in the right fucking position at all time. That's your job. It doesn't matter who you are given. It doesn't matter what talent they have. It's your job to make sure they know what the hell to do and where to be and what to not do. Another thing in this game is penalties. I don't want this to come off and sound like how I know it's going to sound like, but just being a football fan, you watch a lot of football, right? And I know that if you watch a lot of football, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Redskins are going up 17-0. We're throwing bomb touchdowns. Everything looks like it's going in our direction, and then here come penalties. It's like, I hate that. Like I said, even if it's not to do with the Redskins, if I'm watching a football game and there's people balling out, and then all of a sudden here comes some penalties, and it's just hey, now, and stalls drives and stuff like that. It's noticeable. It's just noticeable. I have to talk about it. It's noticeable. And like I said, just a football fan in general, I hate to see that. And it happened in this game too. We were up to 17-0. We were pretty much penalty free, and then all of a sudden the flags started flying on us, and we had 11 penalties compared to the Eagles 6. I don't know. I feel like, like I said, everyone expected us to not do shit. It just sucks that in the most Redskins fashion, they gave us hope just to have it ripped away from us. That's the most Redskin thing of all time, you know what I mean? And it being the first game of the season, everyone saying we don't, one of our glaring needs and holes on this football team was our offense. We didn't think our offense was going to do much. We didn't think, everyone kept talking about how we don't really have any wide receivers and this or that. We don't have any true number one wide receiver or whatever. Our rookie wide receivers came out there and were balling. And Case Keenum was throwing the football around to every single person. It's just our defense got worn out. Jonathan out when he left, our defense wasn't the same. Just bad calls on defense. And another thing I gotta talk about is Montez Sweat. I think Montez Sweat did a decent job versus the run, but man, where are you at? Where are you at when we need you, man? Where's and not just him. Like there was points that our defense did have a couple turnover on downs, at least one or two of them. But we need to, at a certain point in the second half. I'm just sitting here. I even wrote it in my notes. We need a turnover. We need the defense to step up. We need to give the ball back to our offense or whatever. And our offense, I mean, it stalled in the second half, but still, the defense, you can't let them take all these long drives and take all the time off the clock. You need something to happen, and it was all Deshaun Jackson. And I don't understand. Like yet again, this is what I'm saying. It came down to coaching. How are you going to let one guy beat you? It was literally one guy. You know, if it's me, let Deshaun Jackson have underneath all day. You know, there's people can rally and tackle him after he gets the ball short. How are you going to let him get past you multiple times? It's just idiotic. I don't understand it. Just it's just like I said, it's just such a weird game because Jay Gruden is, at least to me, he's known to start the season off very slow. We came out here and we were firing on all cylinders at the beginning of the game, and then we like slowed down. And I mean, don't get me wrong, we have a history of not being able to make the right adjustments, especially on defense, at halftime. But we came out and we were playing well on offense in the first half, and that is the farthest thing that I thought was going to happen. But you know, Case Keenum did his job. You know what I mean? This is why, watching this game, this is exactly why Case Keenum's a starter right now. All right, I understand Case Keenum. He missed the one when we went down and they had multiple bombs down the field of Deshaun Jackson and they took the lead, and then we come out and like the first play we had a chance to just like match that and just come back and throw a bomb and come back and tie the game or whatever it was. I don't know what the score would have been, but we were fighting back. Sure. I mean, hey, maybe Dwayne Haskins makes that deep throw, but I don't see Dwayne Haskins doing a lot of the other stuff that was asked of Case Keenum, and Case Keenum showed why he's a starter in my opinion. But here's the plot twist. We're not asking Case Keenum, nor should we ever ask Case Keenum to win us a football game. That's not the forte. That's not how our team is set up. Our forte is to run the football, which we didn't do, and stop the run and play good defense. We did at times. And like I said, until injuries or whatever. And that's the whole forte of like our last season. Last season we played very well. When we are a healthy football team, you saw it in the first half. Do we have depth issues? Possibly. Looks like it now. When Jonathan Allen went out, it was a completely different football game. But when we had our starters in there, when Jonathan Allen was in there, they didn't run shit. They didn't do shit. We were straight up dominant. And that's, like I said, it's just a story of our football team. It is. So I'm trying to think of other stuff. Terry McLaurin had a great day. He had 5 receptions, 125 yards, and 1 touchdown. Kelvin Harmon had some great catches. All of our young guys, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot to be positive about, but I can't come up here and be forcefully positive about shit. I just can't. It's not me. I can't do that. We lost in a game that symbolizes the Redskins not being able to handle success, being up 17-0, being up 20-3, not being able to make adjustments, not being able to handle success and shut these guys out. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to come up here and talk so good about people like Cole Holcomb, who was flying around all game, looked like he got hurt, then he came back in the game and kept playing. There's stuff that I'm liking what I'm seeing from some of our young players. We have so many young players out there, but it's just hard. And I just don't know. I don't know what the future holds. We have a tough schedule coming up. when I'm done this, I'm gonna go watch the Cowboys Giants game. But I didn't think I was gonna have to speak on it. Darius Geis, 10 carries, 18 yards. I don't know, man. Like I said, I already made the whole video talking about it. My opinion has not changed. There's some people out there who have been trying to change my opinion, but I'm sorry, I'm not gonna let some nonsense change my opinion that we have a future Hall of Famer running back who just ran for 1,000 yards behind a shit offensive line. If people are gonna sit here and say, oh, sure, Darius Geis had only 18 yards, that's because our offensive line wasn't all that good, or this or that. Adrian Peterson, 1,000 yards behind a shit offensive line last year. 90-yard touchdown run, longest of his career, in Philly last year against the Eagles. So it's not looking good. It went better than I thought it was going to go, to be honest, if I'm completely honest with you. I like I said in the video the other day where I said, no one's giving us a shot. I said, we have the tools to win. There's a chance that we can win, and we showed that. And I think, maybe the Eagles fans will give us some credit. Maybe the Eagles fans who thought they were going to just blow us out. There was times in this football game where they said, oh, shit. You know what I mean? So, but that's a moral victory that I don't want. I want to win football games, and that's why I was so upset about the Adrian Peterson thing. I want to win football games now. Adrian Peterson can help win us football games now. Case Keenum went 30 of 45, 380 yards, 3 touchdowns. I don't want to ask Case Keenum to win us football games. I want to ask Adrian Peterson to win us football games. Who's proven? Who's the guy you trust? Because I trust Adrian Peterson. Out of Adrian Peterson. And then I have people saying, oh, we want Darius Geis to play, and, there's only room for either him or Adrian Peterson because they're not going to play special teams or whatever. But you're saying you want the 34-year-old guy and not the new young guy? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that is exactly what I'm saying. If you're telling me it comes down to one or the other, and just because we drafted this guy in the second round and he's the young guy, he's the new guy, we need to give him touches or whatever, not F that. I want the Hall of Famer, the guy who just proved himself. So let me just hurry up and get into the notes. So starting off on the notes, Vernon Davis with a 48-yard touchdown catch. Also this is completely off topic sort of, but the 100th NFL season commercial before the game started, I actually like that. I normally hate commercials, but I jotted that down. That was a pretty okay commercial, okay? Deshaun Jackson had a 15-yard penalty at the beginning of the game. Quentin Dunbar, I got to talk on that too. Quentin Dunbar was just pretty bad in this game. I think I just looked it up, and he actually had like the most tackles on our team or something, so maybe he wasn't the worst player on our team today, but he was just so off the ball all the time. He was just so scared of Deshaun Jackson. He was just playing so far off of him and just like handing him yards and stuff like that. Kelvin Harmon had a nice first down catch. Trey Quinn had a 14-yard down catch. Redskins go up 10-0. Jonathan Allen goes off the field. Ryan Anderson jumps off sides. Quentin Dunbar is playing too far off Deshaun Jackson, just like I said. They are running easier on us now that Jonathan Allen is out. Holcomb's flying around. Deron Payne gets his hand up. Remember how I always say about Deron Payne when I go back to say, like what I like about Deron Payne, and even when we drafted him, the one thing that always stood out with me is he gets his hands up on fourth down. When the Eagles are going for it on fourth down, critical play, Deron Payne gets his hands up. And the thing is, just as good as Deron Payne is, Jonathan Allen is extremely good too. And together, they both have those types of plays where like they both show up. They both make these plays that when we need a play to happen, they make the play. Just this same play that I'm talking about right now, Deron Payne gets his hands up on fourth down or whatever. We were missing for most of the game the other guy who does that type of stuff, Jonathan Allen. He's the go-to guy for clutch situations and stuff like that. Missed him most of the game. 70-yard pass to McLaurin. Our young wide receivers, in case they're showing out right now, Hamilton had a really good stop on 3rd and 1. Monte Nicholson with a huge hit on the sideline to knock out the pass from the wide receiver. I was going to say Monte Nicholson was having a really good game until he gave up the long ball to Deshaun Jackson, but I just think our defense was out of place for multiple plays. And at the end of the game, you could start seeing Landon Collins yelling at guys. It's like, you don't want to. That's not a good look, man. That's a sign of people being out of place. That's a sign of fighting within the team, and it happens when you lose. You know what I mean? And it's the same exact thing for me right now. I'm not happy because we lost. Landon Collins isn't happy with his dudes yelling at him, "Hey, you were out of place or whatever." And it comes down to coaching. And I'm getting tired of Greg Minuski not sending pressure at certain times. We weren't getting pressure with just 4 guys enough. We got pressure sometimes with 4 guys, but it wasn't enough. There's times where you have to create pressure artificially. You have to send someone else. You have to get smart with it. You have to do something different. Carson Wentz was getting the ball out of his hands, especially after they started running the ball. You can't let him sit back there. Even when we did get after him, nobody actually got their hands on him and got him down. We need to, I think, hey, maybe send the people's corner over there, let him get after him. I mean, as somebody who's nimble is going to actually be able to get to him swiftly. You have to be smart about it. And I just don't think that the game that was called by Greg Minuski doesn't warrant me being pissed off about what he did this game. Josh Norman got beat for a touchdown. Josh Norman didn't have a very good game either. Trent Way with a 57-yard punt. McLaurin has a huge catch on the sideline to set up a field goal. Hopkins with a 48-yard field goal. Then I wrote, we need a turnover, and I wrote down Montez Sweat needs to step up. I have a feeling that Montez Sweat is going to be the type of guy who's a grinder, and as the season goes on, he's going to get better. But it doesn't help us now. We need a win now. We needed a win now. We have a tough schedule coming up. I forget who we played next. Either the Cowboys or Giants, right? So gonna go watch that game. Looks like the Giants are already up 7-0. But this is a rough one, dude. It's a rough one. It would have been easier if we just got blown out, and then it would have been easier if just like everyone said was gonna happen. Oh, we didn't stand a chance, and we were gonna get destroyed, and this and that. It would have been easier than the most classic Redskins thing, going up 17-0, going up 20-3, and then just watching it, just my eyes bleed and watch like us just choke it away. I mean, we had 30 yards rushing or something like that. They had 30 yards rushing like the first half, and then it's like the same exact thing for us, like the other half, second half. Let me see this. On the day, we had officially 28 yards rushing. 28 yards rushing. Chris Thompson had 3 carries for 10 yards. Darius Geis had 10 carries for 18 yards. And in the first half, they showed you the infographic. In the first half, the Eagles had 22 yards rushing. They ended the game with 123 yards rushing. Yeah. They made adjustments. They came out of the second half and they made something happen. I don't know. Their coaching's better. I don't know what to tell you. All I can do is admit what I just watched. You know what I mean? Credit to the Eagles. Credit to Carson Wentz. He got out of the pocket, made something happen. Every time we were about to get him, we didn't get him. Every time we put pressure on him, we didn't have enough people there. We just didn't get him. You know what I mean? So it's rough, man. It's rough, but didn't really expect a whole lot. I am proud of, at least we fought. I mean, there was no point where I feel like we gave up. Our defense might have seemed that way, but I mean, it was just a hot day. both sides of the ball or like both teams you could definitely see that both teams were people looked like they were out of shape out there. It was a hot ass day. Um, People were like making the artificial like shade and shit. It must have been brutal out there. But hey, we wore down. There's no excuses for it. So that's all I got for you guys. Let me know what you guys think about the game. Are we going to see Adrian Peterson next week? Let me know what you think. Hail to Redskins. Peace.